I'm delighted to have you. You're a thorough professional. You're a legal practitioner. You know all the issues. So what happened yesterday? Lawlessness seemed to reign yesterday.
Okay, let me backtrack you a bit to your first comment, your introductory comment about factions. I'm not sure you've seen the letter that the people you mentioned on the other side wrote to INEC on November 6th, and INEC's reply to them. That settles that. So PDP has no faction, but we must admit that we have a few members who do not agree with what we are doing. It doesn't make them a faction. So I needed to be clear on that.
Okay, indeed, I hear you. It's just that which section is the real PDP now?
So that's what I'm saying. I say that if INEC, which is the supervisory body for all political parties, has written back to them to say, look, we don't recognize what you're doing. But let me even give you a basis for that. So the constitution we operate makes the chairman of the party in this, take it 2-3 months back, Damagun, the chief executive, and makes the then secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, a person who is executed in consultation with the chairman. So they went to court, Anyanwu and colleagues, instigated a court action, and the court gave a judgment, and the party constitution says that we must explore internal party resolution means, arbitrative means, before we, the court must be the last option. And so the party found them guilty of those provisions and suspended them and referred them to a disciplinary committee, which they didn't attend to. Now, so out of 18 members, 14 signed the suspension notice for the against the secretary and other people who were suspended there. And later on that day, the people now claim to also have, the people who were already suspended now claim to have suspended the other people. So the simple question would be, the Constitution says that the chairman shall direct the secretary to summon a meeting. That same Constitution gives the chairman power to allocate any role to any officer. And the Constitution, in making the Deputy National Secretary of the PDP a member of the National Working Committee, says that he shall act in the absence of the secretary or when he is directed to do so. So let's look at the, let's leave the legality, let's look at the logical sequence of things. That a chairman asks a secretary to convene meeting, he doesn't. He now asks his deputy, under his inherent power made available by the Constitution, to convene the meeting, and 14 out of 18 people attend the meeting and have a resolution suspending their colleagues. And so the other 4 people get around and say, we've suspended. So now the question is, who was the chairman who gave the directive to the secretary to convene the meeting? So you see the hollowness. It's an attempt to put a foundation on moving water. And as long as we still have those water moving, your foundation cannot stand. So that's why I needed to take you back there to the origin. That one meeting had legal basis. The other had none. One meeting had 14 people signing that document. The other had not. So proceeding from there. Okay, let me again take you some steps back from there. Both of them, Damagun and Anyanwu, issued valid notice to INEC, which INEC has not denied. In fact, they have even exhibited in documents they filed in court. So they gave INEC notice to monitor a convention. Together, they sat under this constitution. The constitution gives every executive committee, every national executive committee, national working committee, the power to create committees and empower them to do the things that they want done. Both of them sat, agreed, signed a national convention organizing committee headed by Governor Fintri and populated with people. Incidentally, I was a member of the main committee and the publicity subcommittee of that committee. And there was no question about the validity at that time. There was no question about whether we were going for convention. Subcommittees were now inaugurated. And incidentally, even the subcommittee that the senator was, he wrote to his chairman requesting for funds to undertake the convention. So at what point, if there was any time where there was a backtracking, oh, non est factum, not my fault and all of that, not my act, then that becomes a statement of fact, which he needs to play. So at no point was the notice contested. At no point were the proceedings, the procedures towards the convention contested. In fact, the argument that the duties of the National Working Committee had now been vested in the NCOC is faulty, because the National Working Committee in NEC ascribed the terms of reference to that committee. So they donated their powers, and they are the owners of power. So under delegated authority, they are the owners of power, and they can delegate power. So they did that. And the National Convention Organizing Committee, headed by Governor Fintri, did an excellent work up to the convention. So at the point where a court case was instituted and the judgment was gotten, Judgment 1 was gotten. The party said, well, we have seen, we are studying, we'll go on appeal. A notice of appeal, a stay of execution were filed, and the full processes now, the Court of Appeal is completely seized of that matter. Another person approached a different high court Federal High Court in Abuja, and also obtained judgment. A notice of appeal, stay of execution have both been filed, and filing is ongoing at the Court of Appeal. Another person who feels dissatisfied also went to a court in Ibadan and also got an order. And the orders of courts cannot be made in vacuum. So where that left the party was to go ahead with the convention, because in a plethora of judgments, you understand, one seeking to kill and another seeking to keep alive. It is the disposition of the law that you follow what seeks to keep alive. So that is how we got to the convention. Now, I've heard people talk about the quorum of convention. The quorum of convention is 2/3. And so you had only 3 to 4 states who were not in attendance. You saw that even Taraba arrived very late after voting had been concluded and counting was ongoing, and they were unable to vote. So when you look at the accreditation, you see that more than 2/3 was met. So the proceeds of that convention has a history that can be traced back to when there was no crisis.